Hi guys, welcome to Learn Electronics Repair. And it's that time of the week again, Call of Duty Retro PC Day. Yesterday morning, Sunday, I was out at the flea market and I found some more computers that we can look at. And I was out quite early. And that was because later in the day, I was filming on my other channel. And that just brings me to something I just want to mention because it seems I've upset a few people a couple of videos ago regarding the new channel collaborations I'm working on. So I'd just like to point out that this channel is not changing. Learn Electronics Repair is Learn Electronics Repair and it will stay as it always has been. The reason for the electronics channel in particular with the live streaming with Det and Carlos was to actually make another entity to keep this channel as it is. I'll be honest with you guys, it would be far easier for Carlos, Det and myself to live stream on this channel where we have a viewership, this channel is monetized and we would actually be paid for doing so. But we're going the long way, the hard way round. We're trying to make another entity in its own right, and the reason is not to dilute the contents of this channel. So please guys, anybody who thinks this channel is going to change, it's not going to change, it will stay the same. The other way I have definitely upset some people is with the content of the other channel, Gran Canaria Uncovered. Now, the purpose of the announcement video was really to announce the electronics channel because that's very much related to you guys and what we do here. I threw in the fact we have Gran Canaria Uncovered, partly because, to be quite honest, we thought we were making some pretty amazing video. And secondly, to be even more honest, it was a bit of gratuitous self-promotion. Okay, and what I thought and Det thought, we've talked about this since, would happen is that a small percentage of you guys would be interested in that and the rest of you wouldn't. In fact, we were pretty much right. Around 2% of you guys have subscribed to Gran Canaria Uncovered and about the same number of you have subscribed to Detlef and Carlos's own channel. Thank you very much. I know the guys want to say thank you for that. And I really thought that the other 98% were just not, it was just not their thing, so they just ignore it really. Okay, I did expect it. I got one or two people saying, because it was a bit of a call to action, thanks Rich, but it's not for me, but I still support everything you do. Yeah, cheers guys. What I found surprising was a few people who really took exception to that video. There were some people disgusted by it. There's one person in the comments who claimed there was a sexual act within that video. And so, hand on heart guys, I never intended to shock or disgust anybody with that video content. I had looked before publishing that video and since after the comments, and I can confirm that according to YouTube's guidelines, there were no sensitive issues in the video, there was no content that was designed to shock or disgust the audience in that video, and there were no controversial matters in that video. There was certainly no sexual acts in that video. But for those of you who I upset, honestly guys, I will say for that, I am sorry. You will see no further cross-contamination between the two channels. They are completely different entities. For the 2% of you who like it, I hope you enjoy it more. For the 97% of you who just choose to ignore it, I perfectly understand that. And for the 1% who were really upset by it, I will say sorry. Now let's do some Call of Duty. Here then, we have the first computer. I'll just enlarge it there a little bit for you. Another beige tower. Let's have a look at the other side of this one. We've had these type of cases before, by the way, the one with 2 fans. Looks like a typical P4 probably again to me. This one has a little composite video out on. So I guess I can't say, and probably you guys can't say what it is, but I don't think it's anything as old as a Pentium 2 or Pentium 3. Let's have a look inside this one and see what we have. Well, there's only one screw in this one, so it's quite easy to get in. What do you think we have? My guess again is Pentium 4. Let's have a look. Oh, it is a Pentium 4. Yeah, this is a P4. And it's an Asus motherboard. P4S800. I have at least 1 or 2 of these already. These are quite nice motherboards for 478 because they have the 800 megahertz FSB, so they will support the fastest of the P4s. That means if we get real lucky, this will be a 3.4 gig, which on its own, the CPU will be worth more than the motherboard. Having said that, I've never found one yet on video. I've told you guys I did have one and I sold it, but you never saw it. That was before the channel started. I actually bought the board that had it in and kept the board myself as a test board for about 12 months until I suddenly realised what was in there and how much they were worth, okay? So, this is a fairly complete machine. Seems to have everything, but as I'm interested in the motherboard and such like, I will take this one apart and we can have a closer look. I have the motherboard here. There was a little bit of a telltale sign, and that was the corrosion on the end of the I/O shield. So there's obviously going to be a problem here. And I spotted a bit of corrosion when I actually removed the little connectors that go to the front panel. So let's have a look. Well, we just have a little bit of fur on the pin there. This is where, let's see what connects in. This is actually on the speaker connector, but I believe that pin isn't actually used. Yeah, that one isn't used, just the 4 of them. So I'll clean it off, but it's not a problem. And here we have the bit of corrosion by the audio connector. Mostly the problem seems to be on the edge of the connector itself. Okay, let's clean this up with a bit of ISO and then let's see what happens. It seems like everything I touch at the moment has corrosion on it for some reason, guys. Well, there we go. Isopropyl certainly dealt with that. There's a bit on the edge of the connector itself, but the PCB looks good. I'm just looking under there a little bit. What do we have? Well, I think that's actually okay. Alright, we'll just clean that pin on the speaker connector. Or front panel speaker, I should say, probably actually. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. Also, let's just check the rest of the board in case any other problems you haven't spotted. Well, looks okay. How about the capacitors? Nice row of capacitors there, that also looks okay. I think we're ready to go, guys. Power on. So, C1, we see this code C1, this is a RAM problem. Together with the bleep, C0, C1, we've seen that a lot of times. Let's go with just one strip of RAM. Yeah, they feel a bit sticky, those slots. They don't feel very nice. Okay. Yeah, same problem. We'll give these a clean. Okay, so I've just inserted the DIMM several times into each slot. I find this is the best way to actually get them to come clean. Put one in. Let's see if it works now. Yeah, that's looking much better. We'll put the capture card on. And we have a picture, we have a BIOS. It's telling us it's a 2.8 gig, so I'm pretty much assuming that's what it actually is in there, although I could just check to make sure it is not a case of not being set up right. I think it's worthwhile now just trying the RAM in the other slots as well, or trying both strips of RAM together. Let's go into the next slot. Again, that was pretty good. Yeah, there we have it. It does hit the 2.8 gig processor. Last slot. Yeah. Okay, this machine did come with 2 ID hard drives, so let's take a quick look to see if there's an operating system on. I would expect if this is going to boot, it'll have Windows XP on the machine. Well, we're back into the BIOS, so maybe it's not seeing this hard drive. Yeah, it doesn't see a hard drive there. It is spinning, but it doesn't see it. It's set to auto, so it should just detect that, I would think. I don't really think that would just see that one. Okay, so it looks like the hard drive isn't detecting. Let's have a look to see what CPU we do have in here. I mean, we are pretty sure this is a 2.8 gig. But as there is one valuable type, I definitely want to just confirm we don't have it. And it's not some setting in the BIOS that's wrong. Let's see what we do have. Well, in fact, it is a 2.8 exactly as the BIOS said, so they don't have any value, unfortunately. I was using my test graphics card with the machine. This one, because it has the DVI out. The one that came with it is this one. Now this is an FX200. You can see there, FX200, 128 meg. To be honest, these are like cockroach cards. They are everywhere. You find them in all places. They are not of any value, so it isn't really worth the bother to test it, to be quite honest. They have no value to these at all. This exact same motherboard I have had before, 2 or 3 times now. Actually, I'm pretty sure more than twice. I may have 3 of these. I may have sold one a while ago. I mean, I do find these quite regularly. So I know that these motherboards sell for about £40 on the retro scene. I know what they're worth. This one's a little bit interesting. I can't say I've noticed this connected before. You often seem to find unusual connectors on retro motherboards. This one says Wi-Fi. Yeah, I thought it said WTF1 at first. Yeah, WTF, that's what I'm thinking about it. But Wi-Fi apparently, so I'm sure somebody knows what that thing is called, and was anything ever made that fitted on it? Another good question. I'm going to grab the next machine. Let's see what we have. And here it is. So this machine's in a silver ATX case, a lot of beige drives, a USB adapter of some sort, kind of. Either it was a strange colour to start off with, or it's rather dirty or discoloured. So it kind of looks like an oldish machine, but I'm not sure so much that it is. And I could be wrong, but the reason is this, eSATA. I don't think they had those connectors on anything before socket 775, but I may be wrong about that. So I think this probably is a 775 machine, which makes it not so interesting, but it came in with a batch of other machines, so sometimes I do get these as part of the job lot, and that's how it is. Let's have a look and see whether that tells us this is in fact a 775. It is a 775. Yeah, this is what I thought it was going to be quite honest. Let's just disconnect the fan. It has PCIe, so it's not even a 775 with AGP, which of course is interesting if you watch the channel. So I don't think this is going to be too exciting, but we'll take it apart. We'll have a look to see what we have. Let's see if we even have our €15 in this one. Here we have it. Asus P5VD2 MX, socket 775, PCIe, PCI, modem card. Junk, to be honest. Here's the graphics card. Little PCIe one. Again, probably not really interesting. EAX550H. M512. Half a gig. Radeon X550. Okay. That's that one. We have one hard drive. SATA. 200 gig. Not really particularly exciting either. You know, guys, the thing I like most out of this machine that I found in it is this thing. Okay, this fits onto the pin header for the internal USB, and it has a USB socket on the end of it. I think that's quite cute, actually. I've not seen one before, so that'll just go into my stash of interesting things. As to if I'll ever find a use for it, I don't know, but I quite like that, actually. This one looks to be in pretty good condition. Capacitors. All looks good. 2 strips of RAM. I don't see anything that looks like it would cause a problem on this, so let's plug this one in. What I have just realised is I failed to do this on the previous one, yeah. Somebody has no doubt already chastised me in the comments below. So, well, yeah, I deserve that one. I forgot. And it's not even a Friday, it's a Monday. So that doesn't bode well for the rest of the week, that's for sure, yeah. So that looks okay. This motherboard has onboard VGA, so let's use that for the moment. It's ready to go. I have the standby on. We can press start on. Let's see what this one does. Well, this one also looks like it's going to boot. One bleep. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I have a picture actually. Nice splash screen. I'm going to show you guys. I've just put the monitor where you can see it. I'm using the onboard VGA, so not the capture card. We'll just power this one on again. I've actually found something else I actually like about this motherboard. And I was dissing it quite a bit, to be quite honest, for being a socket 7. I quite like that. Whether that actually makes it worth anything, I don't know. I seriously doubt. But this one is booting up. Let's see if this will boot from its hard drive. And it is working. So we have a working machine here, no password, but I'm not really interested in what's on this thing. I just wanted to see if this actually works. Let's see out of interest if this one is worth any money. I would be very surprised, but I have been surprised before, to be quite honest. And we're about to find out. And the answer is no. I'm not particularly surprised about that. I mean, yes, they're worth a little bit. We can see if any of these have actually sold. But these sort of low-cost things, probably not particularly easy to sell. Yeah, one sold for £12.70, didn't specify the postage. One sold for £20, £17.35. Yeah, they are selling. I mean, they are selling. There's 4 this month, so they are selling. In fact, one actually made a decent amount of money. I can't honestly tell you why. Is it the BIOS update thing? But that's easy to do. But personally, nah. I don't think it's really worth me bothering too much with this one, and I think I'll just put this one down to a loss, really. And to be honest, I have more interesting stuff to look at anyway. This one's a bit older, guys. It's a Packard Bell. Normally, again, I wouldn't buy Packard Bell machines. They're not the sort of thing that interest me. But this one has a Windows ME sticker on it. Yeah, Windows ME. ATX machine. Let's have a look at this one. In this one, the side panels were missing already, so I knew what I was buying when I bought it. So I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit and say this is a P3. At least I think it's a P3, unless it's some sort of AMD machine. It comes with a heavy, thick layer of Kalima dust, which is basically Saharan sand. In fact, it's covered in it. So let's take this apart anyway. It doesn't have a hard drive fitted, actually. Interesting cage for the hard drive down there, like vertically mounted, yeah. So I will dismantle this one, try to remove some of the dust, and then we can see what we have and see if I was right. And see if you guys are right, if you're guessing along, yeah? Comments below. Here's the motherboard. I've at least brushed the worst of the dust off it. Has quite a lot of these old machines, has some corrosion on the connectors at the back of it. Actually, the USB here doesn't look very happy, something stuck in that. Yeah, there is something stuck in there, alright. Well, there it is. Oh, it went on its own. I don't know what happened to it. What is that? Some little plastic sleeve or something. Well, whatever it is, it's out of there. Well, I guess the connector looks better than it did, although there's still a lot of dust in this thing. Try that technique. I'll have to get a little compressed air thing. Motherboard MS6340 version 1 via chipset. I'm thinking this might be an AMD machine now. It's just something about it, I can't quite put my finger on it, that makes it look like it's going to be an AMD processor, an Athlon or something like that. In fact, something exactly like that, I think. Let's see. There must be some reason why I'm thinking that, guys. There's something about this board that makes me think this now is an Athlon. Can somebody point out what that is? Why we could say this is... Okay, without looking at the number, why we could say this is an Athlon? And it is an Athlon. Seems rather devoid of any heatsink compound. It looks like it had a pad on here, actually, that's kind of like... just gone hard. Well, that doesn't want to come off very easily. There we go. Like a 1000? Yeah. So, I'm guessing a 1000 plus or something. This must be quite an early one, to be quite honest. The other thing we can say with some good certainty about this is that it needs recapping. So, we get an angle, you can see better. This one is domed. This one is domed. This one also, if you tilt it that way, look at it, it's domed. I couldn't do this with the old camera system, by the way. I can with this one, as you can see. These two also are domed on the top. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bad capacitors on there. I don't think this is of any particular value, this motherboard. We can take a look first, and if it isn't, then let's power this up as it stands with all these bad capacitors, and let's see if this actually works. If it doesn't, then we can change the capacitors and see if it works then. I think it'd be an interesting experiment as much as anything else. So does this actually have any value? Well, let's see. Yeah, parts only, pre-owned. So No, this isn't a valuable motherboard at all. In fact, it's probably barely worth what I paid for the machine again this time. Sold. How about that pre-owned, yeah. So this one, if anything else, is just going to be for interest, just for the sake of interest. Let's try it as it stands then. I'll put a bit of heatsink compound on this. Give it a chance, yeah, give it a chance. We have everything in shot that we want. I'm going to power this up. No memory, no graphics card, analyzer in. Let's see what it does. Well, it starts and it bleeps. Kind of what you would think. So let's try one strip of RAM. That's very stiff. It did go in. Try again. Same. We'll try the other strip. Well, that one it seems to like. And then it's saying no graphics card. Okay. Let's try this one in the other slot. See if we can say both slots are working. If this is a valid configuration. Yes, both slots are working. It may just be bad contact stopping this one from working before. Let's just try it again. Okay. Yeah, this time it seems to like it. Right, let's put the graphics card in and see what it does. Both strips of RAM as well. This only has VGA on it, so I'm just going to use this one. Let's try. Oh. Well, it did something different. Interesting. And now it won't start. Oh, it did start. Just thought about it. Ooh. That's actually shutting the power supply down as well. Is that graphics card inserted all the way? No, it's not. Okay. Try again. Yeah, it's shutting the PC down. Interesting. Take this out. Try again. I've noticed it's starting by itself now. Well, that's interesting, guys. It's plugging the card in. It doesn't seem to like something. Does it start by itself? Through weight? No, I think we have to press the button again. And then nothing happens. Oh. I had it working with one in. Let's try one, yeah? Let's go back a step. Well, it's shutting down. I wonder if this is something to do with all these bad capacitors, but that doesn't really explain why it actually went further before. But for some reason it doesn't want to boot up now. Again. Start. Oh, okay, this time it did. Graphics card again. Okay. It started by itself that time. Shut down. Oh, came back. And we have a picture. So it is basically sort of working, but acting in a rather strange manner. Maybe this is what's happening with all these bad capacitors on this board. It's going to say there's no boot drive now, and in fact I didn't have a boot drive with this one. Just a flashing cursor in the corner there. In fact, it doesn't even say no boot drive. At the last moment it did. Let's change these capacitors, these visibly bad ones, even though it isn't worth it. And let's see if it actually then runs stably. I've replaced all the capacitors, so that's 7 capacitors replaced on this. I think it's quite interesting that the ones that have failed here are actually around the AGP slot, and they seem to start acting up when I put a card in there. Also, one of the bad ones was right by the DIMMs as well, so possibly on the voltage rail for the memory on this. We're ready to try it then. Let's see if that fixes the instability that we were seeing on this. Yeah, we have a picture this time straight away. It didn't mess about, it didn't keep switching on and off, and that's what was happening with the 2 DIMMs and the graphics card in. Okay, yeah, just saying there's no hard drive. I mean, there wasn't a hard drive with this machine. I think this is a very good indicator of what you will find with bad capacitors on the motherboard. And probably it's quite common to say that if you have some digital piece of equipment like a motherboard and it is unstable like this was, capacitors is a very good guess. Even if in this case it wasn't worth even the cost of the capacitors to try and fix it, I did want to show that, and hopefully you agree that that did prove something, yeah? Okay, let's see if the graphics card is worth any more money than the motherboard. This is a Vanta TNT2 M64, 64 meg TNT2, I guess. Let's have a look to see if retro collectors might be interested in this. Here goes. Let's see. No, not really. I mean, I could probably get my money back for this machine, but I'm not going to make any money from this machine. I think if it had have been a Pentium 3, it probably would have been a little bit more valuable than this. So again, not really any great value, but I do think it was a useful teaching aid. So let's have a look at another one. This also says Pentium 4 on it. I haven't opened this machine up, so really I don't know if this is a socket 478 or a 775. I have no idea. We are about to find out pretty soon, I'll say that much. So, yeah, 4 USBs, some sort of graphics card in it, with composite AV out. It looks like this might be an AGP card, but can't say for certain unless we take the top off. Yeah, so let's get the top off this one, and then let's have a look. Not sure what these things are. I think these are almost so you can stand it on its back, but you couldn't do that because of the power lead. So as to what those are, yeah, it's sort of sticking out. I don't know, not seen them before. Is that just decoration or something? You guys, any of you seen these things before? Don't know, I certainly haven't. Okay, let's go inside this one. So it is AGP. It is a P4 478. It has a hard drive. This is fairly complete. Once again, I'm actually going to dismantle this one. It has a fairly long video card, and actually for an AGP one, I didn't quite know what that is. I'm not sure it's anything very exciting, but who knows with these things, yeah? It's all exciting in a way. Or at least it's all interesting, that's for sure. This ATX case is a little bit unusual. The side panel actually comes off the machine with two springy metal clips basically. But the way the motherboard's attached is using these things. These are not screws, you can't turn these. It's not like something you screw or turn around, okay? And you'll see them on this side as well. They're like some sort of clips. I mean, these have unclipped. That one and these two, these just unclipped. The ones at the other end seem to be really quite hard to do. Yeah, you see another one over here as well, one in the corner over here. They look like they bolt into the bottom of the metalwork. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I mean, you see that just came off, you know, very little pressure, it just clipped off. There's another one, like you see. I've never seen these before, guys. I've never seen this method of mounting a motherboard. Have you ever seen that? Well, you can look at one. They're like metal standoffs or something. On the other side, they're screwed to the metalwork. So you can see they actually bolt through the metalwork. And then the motherboard literally pushes onto them. I'm not sure if I was removing it the right way, but obviously it did come off. So yeah, there's something I've not seen before, guys. Have you seen these? Have you seen these? I think they're a bit unusual. Strange what you find when you're looking at these old computers. But what isn't particularly unusual is the motherboard, because I think I've seen this one before. This time I will remember to test the resistance on the 12 volts, yeah. That's okay, it's not a short thing, so it's climbing up. Okay, so that looks alright. What doesn't look alright is that capacitor. I think all the rest look okay there. Let's have a look. Yeah, this looks nice and clean on this one. Just look at the capacitors. This all looks okay. This board might be a little bit too early for the bad capacitor thing. It's not really an age thing. It's a problem that's occurred over certain years due to faulty manufacture, basically. You'll often find things from the 60s and 70s and the capacitors are still good. It was just a period of time, but it gave people the impression that electrolytics sort of effectively do what these ones have done. After a period of time, they don't. It was just a manufacturing issue. This board, we have just one bad capacitor, so I think we might as well just change this one rather than the experiment we tried with the other one. And let's see if this board works afterwards. I have this one plugged in. We have the new capacitor fitted there. I've actually connected everything up on this one as it was. Seeing as we found an obvious fault, there may well be a good chance it now works. Power on, start, and off it went. There's a good reason for that, guys. And the good reason is that somebody forgot to plug this in. Okay, let's try again. Power on, start. And this one actually isn't running. I thought after doing that it would do. Let's just put it back down to the basic configuration. So graphics card out, RAM out, just the card in there. What's it do? Basically the same thing. Doesn't start. This sort of thing usually is that the CPU is being held in reset. It doesn't come out of reset. Could be a problem with the CPU itself. We can try reseating that, making sure there's some heatsink compound on it. Quite often I find with these, the CPU comes out with the heatsink. It glues itself on due to the heatsink compound. This one actually came off fairly cleanly. Let's see what we have. Yeah, it's a 2.66 gigahertz we can see there. So this is not of any value, these type. There's only the 3.4 gig that is. I'll just try reseating the CPU in this one. Where we tend to dust, I mean, it looks clean, all the pins are okay. Bit of fluff on it there, but let's give this a go. I'm just going to leave the heatsink off for a moment and just see if this gets warm. I can soon switch it off. It won't go like stupidly hot immediately, but this will at least tell me if the V core is running and it's clocking. Let's see what we get. Okay. It's getting warm. Yeah, it's getting warm, so it's got power. It's not starting. I have another CPU. We might as well eliminate that possibility now. This is a 2.33, but it's the same front size buzz, 533 megahertz. So this should work, or at least start. Let's see what this one does. Again, it doesn't start. It's getting warm. Really, it looks like this board's never starting. I've just turned it around so I can just work a little bit easier on it. I've got the multimeter on volts range, so let's just check if we have power to the CPU. I'm fairly confident we do have because it's getting warm, but we just should check that anyway to be sure. So we'll start this up. These are the MOSFETs on the VRM. Somewhere in here will be the junction. That's it, 1.6 volts. So that's the V core. So we've got power to it. The next question then is, do we have a corrupted BIOS maybe? Well, probably a good thing to check with that, because this is not so easy to desolder, is whether the processor is actually trying to access the BIOS. Does it try to read the BIOS? If it never tries to read it, then regardless of what the contents are, if it's corrupted or not, really won't matter. Yeah, let's see if we can figure that out, and I think we can, but this is why the green wire is on here. This is the BIOS chip. We have pin 1, there's a dot there. Okay, so if we look at the data sheet for this, we can see how we can test whether this is actually being accessed. And here is the data sheet. So this is the pin out. You see we have a reset pin on pin 2, and we have a OE. This is enabling the output enable, and init. So to enable the outputs of this EEPROM so the processor can read the contents, this needs to go low. So if we have a look on reset, which is active low, and output enable, which is also active low, we should either see this go low or more likely a sequence of pulses here as the processor tries to read the EEPROM. In fact, further to that, if we look at the table of operation modes, you can see that in read mode, reset is high, output enable is low. So that's the one we really want to check. Output enable, does it go low? You can see the oscilloscope there on the chip. Then this is pin 1, so this is the reset pin. We'd expect this one to be high. Let's start. In fact, yes, it goes high and stays high. We'll just switch it off again. And then we need to look at output enable, which is the 4th one here. Okay, so we're on the 4th pin. Let's look. Well, this goes high and stays high as well. So the processor never tries to read that BIOS. Therefore, we can discount the corrupted BIOS. It never gets that far. This motherboard then, repair-wise, is a little bit out of the scope of Car Booty Day, because Car Booty Day is really looking at retro PCs. But we've made a few quite simple checks, and that's told us a lot already. it has power, the processor never starts and never reads the BIOS. Most likely that will be a chipset problem somewhere. That seems probably the most likely case. If we could find a schematic for this motherboard, may be able to, but we would probably need to know the startup sequence as well for that to help us in any way, and we probably can't find that. But if we can find the startup sequence as well, we may be able to get a little bit further with this. It's possible, for example, the clock generator isn't running. I mean, normally in the sequence of things, we get the various 3 volts and 5 volts. The thing chipset is obviously testing the power button because this does turn it on. And in fact, if I hold this in, it takes a little while, but this does turn it off as well. So usually after the turn on, the power's on, then the chipset sends some sort of signal to the VRM to start the VRM up, and when all the voltage are there, it starts the clock gen and takes the reset off the processor. That's the normal thing. We should possibly just check that the RAM has a supply, which is this one, because VRM for the processor and the voltage for the RAM will probably have to come up before this chip then lets the CPU run, gives the clock and goes. So we should check this one. Another quick test. Do we have supply to the RAM? False. Switch on. Ground. I'll put my arm where you can see the meter. Ground and RAM, which I think will be here. 5 volts on there. 12 volts on there. 5 volts on there. Well, if that's the RAM supply, that ain't right. Can I see? Yeah, I can see. I can see another VRM up here. What's on here? That's ground. That's 5. 2.6. I think I'm pretty sure for this type of RAM that might well be correct. I would need to look it up. It's DDR400, but I'm pretty sure 2.6 is actually correct. Yeah, exactly, 2.6. That was absolutely correct. So we know now that the voltages are there. The CPU has power, the RAM has power, it never accesses the BIOS. This is where we would have to start looking around for a schematic. But as I say, really guys, this is a fun day, yeah. If you want to talk about this one, we can get us on the bench on its own video. We can explore this one a little bit and see if we can get anywhere with it, see if our knowledge helps us to get any further with it. But for now, I think that's enough for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed a bit of this retro stuff. I like to do this every week. So you'll be seeing more of it anyway if you enjoyed it or not. But then if you didn't, you probably just didn't watch. Okay, hope you liked it, and I'll see you all soon on another Weird Electronics Repair video. Ciao for now, guys.